Myers from Hamilton County Schools. Today we are going to work on our unit on overcoming obstacles, facing adversity, and we're going to watch a video about the Dust Bowl. This is a really interesting video because it tells a really good story about just a really not good time in history. So we're going to watch this video. It's about 7 minutes. So we're going to do a straight through watch first, and then we are going to take some time to look at specific details about it. So I'm going to share my screen with you just to watch the video. I'm going to press play.
The untouched southern Great Plains, for centuries subject to unpredictable weather, relentless wind, and recurrent drought, but in season the richest grazing land on earth. Then came the cattleman, overgrazing and scarring the lush plains grass that held the water in the soil. In 1887, the farmer came, heedlessly ripping away the protective cover of turf that kept the soil from blowing away in time of drought. The dangers of drought were learned, but soon forgotten. The times were good. New settlers came, impressed with the rains and bumper crops. The fertile soil, considered inexhaustible, was taken for granted. Thousands poured into the plains to grab what they could from the soil. Unknowingly, they were creating this area that in the 30s would be called the Dust Bowl. Its center, Dalhart, Texas.
My father brought me to the Panhandle in 1890. And in 1913, my brother and I bought this ranch. And for several years, we had a very fine condition. But the farmers came here in the 20s, long about, I'd say about 27 to 28. And they began to buy this land and break it up and plant it into crops and corn.
All through the 20s, high-paying wheat was the goal. New, faster equipment joined the tractor. Expensive, but a boom was on. Credit easy. Farmers and ranchers became gamblers, expanding on credit. More equipment, more land, to produce more wheat to pay the bill. As farms became mechanized wheat factories, non-resident suitcase farmers rushed in and out for quick killing, carving out millions of acres of green pasture land, never minding the cost. The good weather, which seemed to go in 10-year cycles, held. The 20s were very good.
Well, the dry weather started at about 30, and then 31 and 32 it got worse, and some of these farmers had livestock. And they didn't have any place to graze these cattle much, and they turned them on these fields. And the little old stuff got about that high, they'd pull it up and eat it. And that left the land bare. And in 1933, it was pretty bad. And about 34, it got real bad. The drought lasted 8 years.
And years of careless cultivation now took their toll. The uncovered earth had given all it had to give. It could give no more. As the added ordeal of depression tumbled the price of wheat, the land, mistreated, parched by drought, was pulverized to produce still more wheat. A futile race with the creditor, creating only dust, ready to blow. In the spring of 1934, the winds caught up the broken soil, and a plague of dust descended upon those who had treated the land with ignorance and contempt. Clouds of dust billowed up to 15,000 feet in the air, shutting off the sun, eventually turning day into night. Sand had to be shoveled from railroad tracks before trains could pass. Airplanes were grounded, and a sense of impending doom permeated the cities of the plain, turned into darkness at midday. The topsoil of the country was blowing away, withering vegetation from millions of acres of farmland, choking the air so that it was painful to breathe without a damp cloth over nose and mouth. This was only the beginning. For those on the southern plains, dust would become a way of life. Their land, the Dust Bowl.
Here during the terrible Dust Bowl days. The worst storm that I can remember was the last big duster that rolled in. We stopped for the side of the road and waited until we could see the edge of the road, which was I don't know how long. It seemed like a lifetime. We drove on home, and we found out when we got out we were so short on oxygen we could hardly stand up. And when we got in the house and turned on the light, I told my husband, I said, Bandit, you can take off your mask now. The sheriff won't be out tonight. He says, baby, you better take off yours. So when we got finally cleaned up and started to bed, he dropped his clothes at the only time in all of our married life that he didn't pick them up.
All right, the first question I want to ask you guys about this is, what do you notice about the font of the title? I want you to take some time to answer that question. What do you notice about the font of the title? Once you've answered that, I want you to answer why do you think they made the font this way? All right, next.
The untouched southern Great Plains, for centuries subject.
All right, so this is called a panoramic shot, which means it shows a panorama or like a whole almost like view as if someone was turning in a circle. Why did the video choose to include this shot at the beginning of the video? And they also include a similar one at the end of the video. Okay, we're gonna listen for just a second. I want you to think about the music in this part.
To unpredictable weather, relentless wind, and recurrent drought. But in season, the richest grazing.
All right, what do you notice about the music at the beginning of the video? Why did they choose to make this the music? All right, now this time I'm going to play a little bit. I want you to think about the voice of the narrator. What do you notice about his voice?
Land on earth. Then came the cattleman, overgrazing and scarring the lush plains grass.
What did you notice about the voice of the narrator? Why do you think the narrator uses such a serious tone? All right, I'm going to play this. I want you to think about how the music changes.
Crop and corn.
How did you notice, what did you notice that the music, what happened to the music? And why? Why do you think the music changed here? And similarly, what happened to the music at this point?
And that left the land bare. And in 1933, it was pretty bad. And about 34, it got real bad. The droughts lasted 8 years.
Why did they make the change with the music at this point in the story?
Broken soil, and a plague of dust descended upon those who had treated the land with ignorance and contempt.
Did I miss it? I think I missed it. All right, so around this point in the story, there are several clips of animals running and people running. Why did the video choose to include the people and animals running? All right, and then I want to watch the woman's interview at the end of the video and think about why they included her interview, and that's the last we're gonna watch of the video.
I lived here during the terrible Dust Bowl day. The worst storm that I can remember was the last big duster that rolled in. We stopped for the side of the road and waited until we could see the edge of the road, which was I don't know how long. It seemed like a lifetime. We drove on home, and we found out when we got out, we were so short on oxygen we could hardly stand up. And when we got in the house and turned on the light, I told my husband, I said, Bandit, you can take off your mask now. The sheriff won't be out tonight. He says, lady, you better take off your hurts. So when we got finally cleaned up and started to bed, he dropped his clothes at the only time in all their married life that he didn't pick them up.
All right, so my next question is, what is the central idea of this video? All right, and then my last question, this end task, where I want you to take some time and maybe cite things from the story. What choices did the videographer make that helped to emphasize that central idea that you just came up with? All right, once you finish that, you are good to go. Have a wonderful rest of your day.